Hi everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here with ASP Chief Executive Officer Stephanie Widener. And I want to talk to you today on Suck Less Saturday about coming to the range and how to suck less during your range trip. You need a shot timer because that which gets measured gets worked on. The Range Tech Timer is the official timer of Active Self-Protection because it is versatile, reliable, feature-rich, and very economical. Check out all it can do at the link below. Thanks to C2 Tactical here in Scottsdale. Love the 338 Club here.
Beautiful.
Bougie. Okay, so we're here at the range and you guys see me shoot here all the time at the range. And I thought, you know, we did a video recently for Suck Less Saturday about how to prep for your range trip, but now we're actually here and we're out here on the 338 Club. You can hear shooting on the bay next to us. We don't have anybody else out here at the 338 Club right now, which is why we can have our ears off. But I want to talk about some of the things that we see that are problematic for shooters out here on a public range and some tips for all of us to suck less. So Steph, if you had one thing when you're at the public range that you would say really makes it a bad trip, what would you say?
People wanting to give unsolicited advice and or talk with you a lot when I'm there to practice, and I don't know if it's kind of like this friendly neighborhood bar thing or something where you're sitting there just visiting and I don't know if that's a guy thing too, but I know women get it really badly. I assume guys get it some too. Well,
and especially because you see a little lady who's, you know, doing something, teacupping, gripping wrong, and you're like, well, now I got to go give her some advice because, you know, she's got to know what she's doing. No, she doesn't. Just let it go. If you're not asked for advice and it's not unsafe, then leave it alone. Now that leads to my first pet peeve, which when I go to the public range and what I see that really kind of chaps my butt is when people are unsafe with their firearms handling. So the biggest thing when you come out to the public shooting range is to make sure that you practice safe firearms handling. Almost all these, I don't know, you see our feet, you know, we have a yellow line here as well as a red line. A red line is no-go in front of. The yellow line is don't handle guns behind here. And so one of the things I see people do all the time, they'll bring a gun up or they'll set it on a bench in the back here, and then they'll pick it up, look down the barrel, point it at all their friends, you know, toss it in the air with a couple of, you know, an axe and a torch or some crap, and that's no good. So when you are out here on the range, one of the things that you'll see me do is for instance here, I have my ready up, right? So when it comes time, if I'm gonna draw a firearm out of this is where my compartment is that I will undo this, and you notice they're pointed down range. And before I ever were to handle a firearm, I would make sure that it's pointed in the direction of least consequence, which out here is at the berm. And instead what I see people doing, and this is a SIRT pistol, right? Is again, they're coming out here like this and they're messing around with stuff. And of course, you know, it becomes real easy. This is a training tool, right? So this is a shot indicating resetting trigger. So, you know, it sets a laser like this, is all of a sudden, you know, not necessarily pressing the trigger, but they're like, oh, see, this is my gun. And next thing you know, they're pointing a gun at their friend. Don't do that, guys. Practice safe firearms handling at the range. Your turn for a pet peeve of how to be nice.
A pet peeve of how to be nice.
Or how to be effective at the range. I
think planning your range time, you probably went over that some with prepping, but you don't want to be standing here taking up a lane, messing around with your gun. Plan out what you want to do, get in and do it. Make sure you have ammo and magazines ready, and that you're just prepared to go in and work, and then vacate the lane for the next person.
Make sure your mags are loaded before you show up. What you're going to notice here is that all of our magazines are loaded, full of ammo. We're ready to go. Our targets are hung. We've made sure that they are correct. And we are ready to shoot so that we're not jamming up the range because other people want to come and shoot as well. Now you may be at a shooting club or a facility like out here at 338 Club. It's usually pretty chill and you might have all the time in the world. But if you don't, I mean, mind your P's and Q's. To me, that doesn't mean you gotta hurry and get off the range really quickly. Take your time, get the shooting that you need to get done, but be ready to shoot.
Yeah, I think another thing is to keep care of all of your things. It's not unusual to go into a range and people have their stuff strewn from one end to the other.
Holy Moses.
And between that and the guns kind of pointing in ways that they shouldn't and things to step over, it can really be a problem. It's the reason a lot of people don't like to go to the range, because you have this stuff going on. It's difficult to concentrate and perform well when you're concerned about what your lane mates are doing and all of the stuff around you. So just be thoughtful and careful about where you're placing your stuff. Keep your stuff compact and neat, and clean up after yourself when you're done.
What she's saying, guys, is dudes, don't man spread. Because we have a tendency to do this at the range. We just lay all our crap out and we put stuff everywhere, and you know, you take up the seats for the people who aren't shooting with your crap, or you know, you've got rifle cases all over the place and then nobody else can move around you. So be considerate of other people. And that leads me to my next one, police your brass, for gracious sakes. Now that doesn't necessarily mean we're here at an indoor range and we just sweep brass forward to the line, but don't leave brass for somebody else to do that, is be courteous. So to me, the biggest things that we see here are be courteous to others. That's a big one, right?
Can I add one more to be courteous if you're recapping?
Yeah, be courteous, yeah, go.
Make this a welcoming place for people, a place where people are welcome to bring like their teenagers, their kids, the loved ones in their lives that don't shoot. Don't make this a place where we're making a lot of off-color jokes and racist comments and sort of in the club type stuff. Make it welcoming for all people.
Don't make it an old boys network, right?
Yeah, because that can be difficult. And just be welcoming. You're an ambassador for the shooting world. Just someone that doesn't know anything about guns or what this world is, that you may have worked very hard to bring someone to the range and tell them that's this great, wonderful, fun, safe place. Don't be the people at the range that prove them wrong.
That's part of being courteous.
Yes, that's why I wanted to add on to it. Think about not just the people shooting, but other people that might be being exposed to it.
Another part of being courteous, in my opinion, is when you're out here on the range, we're focused on an activity that is inherently dangerous. If we're not careful, it can be very dangerous. So if you got a side conversation, you need to take a phone call, you got another friend there and you want to talk about the football game this weekend or whatever, just go off the range. Go out, like, here you got seats that you can sit in out there in the lounge and those kinds of things. Totally fine that it's a social event and you want to have some social time, but don't do it on the range where it can be distracting to people who are trying to focus, trying to improve, trying to de-stress, trying to have a good time. So again, the biggest thing here in all of this is be a good neighbor, right? Follow the golden rule. You do to others like you'd have them do unto you. I've read that somewhere.
It's weird. I can't remember.
I read that. Somebody important to me said that. If only I could remember. If you remember where I read that, put it in the comments, would you?
The other thing is you don't necessarily know why the people that are sharing the range with you are there. They may be there to de-stress. It may be a social time. They may be trying to practice. But it's not unusual. I remember a story that was shared on active response training by Greg Ellifritz, a woman that had been targeted and needed help. She had an hour. She had a limited amount of ammo. She had a limited amount of time and a limited amount of range time, a bad gun. And she was using that hour to learn how to effectively defend her family.
Yep.
And so
against a real predator.
It really was. And it really dawned on me. We maybe think that we're just coming here playing and practicing and whatever. She was there to learn how to defend herself and her children. So just be wary that people have different goals for being there, different outcomes they need to accomplish.
Number 1, be a courteous individual. Golden rule.
Right.
Number 2, practice safe firearms handling. Don't do unsafe stuff with firearms. So that also includes out here on the range, your eyes and ears, right? One of the things I see people doing all the time from a safety violation perspective. Again, we're out here in the 338 bay. It's cold here right now, so we can have our eyes and ears off. But if you're on a public bay, that's not to be. And I see people, I saw a guy out here the other day, and he's wandering around with his ears on like this, and he's trying to, help people do stuff. And that was what he had, is he had his eyes up like this. And he's, looking at stuff and doing things. And of course, part of being a courteous person is, I didn't say nothing to him because I'm not his boss or his mother. But I did actually kind of sneak back to the range safety officers and go, hey guys, you might want to say something to him because then you can, and he should take that a little bit better than from some random stranger.
Right.
And he did. He was like, oh geez, I can't believe I did that. Forgot about that.
Yep.
So eyes and ears on at all times. Safe firearms handling rules. So remember, how we, articulate those. Always keep firearms pointed in the direction of least consequence, number 1. Number 2, always keep our finger high in register until we made the conscious decision to fire. Rule number 3, always keep firearms unloaded until they are in use. I think if you do those 2 things, courteous, kind to other people, golden rule. Number 2, practice rules of safe firearms handling all the time. I think you'll have a great range trip, and I think that you will suck less the next time you go to the range. Stephanie, good insight, girl.
Thank you.